What's good? Wednesday night, Onora Boys in the building. Lucky Lefty podcast brought to you by Onora Whiskey, ONORAWhiskey.com. It is that premium American whiskey, ONORAWhiskey.com. And if you're going to drink, by all means, make sure you do it responsibly. You got to do it responsibly.
It's only up from here. Let's get busy.
Lucky Lefty, Wednesday night, Three's Company, as always. You know how we do it. Subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you go hit up the audio edibles each and every day. Apple Podcasts and Spotify, courtesy of CFB Nation. Patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network. Yeah, X, Instagram, Lucky Lefty Pod, YouTube. Subscribe, share. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. It helps with the views. Home of the Misguided Passion, forever committed to making sure we spin it different. As always, we're here on Wednesday night, and we're not solo, but we're -1. Left won't be here on tonight because their final team scrimmage before the start of the regular season is tonight, their dress rehearsal. So he is not going to be with us tonight, but he will be back tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, we'll have a special show. We normally don't go on Thursdays, but we will have a show tomorrow morning because Left has some stuff he wants to get off his chest because it's some disrespect. The disrespect coming from Texas A&M reporters just continues to flow. Oh, woo! I don't know if you heard some of this stuff, KG.
Well, the Aggies, they're the Miami of Texas. You know, they're the all-season champs every year. You know what I mean? They gotta have their way. They gotta talk and they talk. You know, during the off season, because the minute that you put the ball down, all of a sudden, you know, the 12th man get real. Oh boy, you know, we wish we could do our weird little traditions, but you know, we can't do it when we're down 14. Well. You know, you gotta excuse them. You know, a team like that, they gotta have a regular off season championship. You know, they gotta have.
Let me just give you a tidbit of something they said, and then I'm just gonna let you flow because I already know the face is about to be. Two things they said, 2 bullet points. One, Notre Dame and Texas A&M are the same team and same program. That was the first one. The second one was both of our quarterbacks are coming back from injury, and it is clear that we have the better quarterback. Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've already played the video clips on the show, but
but you know what though? We're at critical mass of off-season stuff. We're at critical mass, you know, between Texas and these teams. When is the last time Texas A&M won a national championship? Well, when's the last time we saw a top 5 and a national championship appearance? When's the last time we saw a conference championship appearance from them? I'm very confused. I'm so confused by this because I believe that Notre Dame, between those two teams, has the more recent conference championship appearance, and Notre Dame ain't even in a damn conference. What are we doing here? What are we?
Yeah, you know, yeah. Conor Wegman is easily the elite, better quarterback in this matchup.
It's getting to that point in the season, and I mean this very genuinely. Everything is a story, you know, because a week ago we were at the best shape of my life part of the off season. You know, everybody's in the best shape of their life. Right, everybody's feeling better than they ever have. Everybody's running fast than they ever have. You know, all that stuff, and that's a real boring week. And so the next week after that is the hot take week. You get off all of the BS you want to say before you got to strap them on, put that ball down, and we figure out what's what. You get to talk all types of foolishness because, again, while I know that Texas A&M folks are weirdos, they're a weird bunch of people, but I give them their respect because they're one of the most passionate fan bases I've ever seen. I've been around sports all of my life. I've been around college football for, covering it or playing it since 2012, 2013. I've seen a lot. I'm telling you right now, this part of the season is right before the season when everybody gets their hot take off. And I'll tell you what, those Texas A&M reporters, I get it. You're supposed to cover your team the best you can, but I got a word of advice for them. A part of covering your team the best you can is level setting, okay? And level setting means if you know that your team is about a 7-8 win team, you tell the fans, hey, we're on an upswing, but this team still has a ways to go before we're at a national championship. You don't go out there and tell them, championship of us. We got Jimbo's recruits combined with a real coach. We're going to do great things. Because all of a sudden, you're going to find a way. Those fans are going to be looking at you at the end of the season saying, you told us that we were the same tier as that program that's undefeated and in the playoff. Now we got 4 losses and we sitting here in the Hyundai Sun Bowl. What's going on? What done happened? So it's just my opinion. When you do it, always level set.
Of course, Lucky Lefty Podcast. That guy, my brother Ken Gibbs, locked on Wolfpack, locked on ACC, locked on college football. Hey, he's the wizard over at Locked On. You need to follow him at TGIF_Kenton. We're doing it right here, Lucky Lefty Podcast, Three's Company, every Wednesday night. Left his squad dress rehearsal before the start of the regular season down in Arizona, so he won't be joining us tonight. We're going to start off with the first topic because we have some great topics tonight. We're going to talk about the ESPN Power Rankings. We're going to talk about the most overrated squads. I'm very interested in hearing what my boy has to say. I might have someone prime. I might have someone prime as one of my biggest and most overrated teams, just tease, as we call it in the radio business. And then the impact freshmen. What impact freshmen do we expect, not only in the ACC, but nationwide, to really jump on the scene in the college football landscape? But ladies and gentlemen, I have to start with Ken Gibbs. And I have him here for a specific purpose because there is extreme panic in the Notre Dame fan base about the offensive line concerns. We understand. First round, overall, number 5 pick goes to the Chargers. By the way, he's not even playing left tackle for the Chargers. They have him playing right tackle, but he's still looking spectacular. And then Blake Fisher, he played right tackle for Notre Dame. The Houston Texans have him playing left tackle. It's like, who knew that one would go to the NFL and play the opposite position and vice versa? But we come to the situation where we knew after both of those guys left, there would be a transition, particularly at the tackle position. And we went to the Sun Bowl with a first-time starter. Charles Jagusah, true freshman, beat out the redshirt sophomore and the senior, Tosh Baker and Emil Wagner. Emil Wagner is now the starting right tackle. Ashton Craig, redshirt sophomore, is now your starting center. And then you have your boy, Billy Shrout, over at right guard. So the right side, the center of the right tackle, solid veterans, right? Inexperienced, but you feel good. Charles Jagusah gets injured, tears his pec, out for the season. Now you figure Tosh Baker is going to come in. He's going to save the day because he's played left tackle. He actually got the shot at left tackle once Blake Fisher got injured because he started as a true freshman down at Florida State. Tosh Baker gets the job. Guess who came and snatched it from him? Joe Alt. Next thing you know, Tosh Baker really haven't heard anything from him until he lost the battle for left tackle during bowl prep. So now we sit with a lot of panic because it came out late last week that redshirt freshman and true freshman Sam Pendleton and Anthony Knapp were playing with the first team at left guard and left tackle. And there was panic already because we lost our left tackle. There was panic because we have an inexperienced offensive line facing a pretty good defensive line at Texas A&M that had an 11 sack percentage. Once every 9 dropbacks, Texas A&M was getting to the quarterback. But I have a stat for you. Because a lot of those sacks didn't come from the defensive line last year. I know Jay Bateman is the new, and you can talk about Jay Bateman as well. I know you got the goods on him. I know you got the goods on him, KG. Notre Dame fans are gonna love the info from you tonight, because we're gonna hear from you. Jay Bateman, News DC out of Texas A&M. But this young man, ladies and gentlemen, he's not only one of the best analysts, them guys in the business. He played this game on the defensive line, in the trenches, a lot of pull muscles. Did you have a torn pec as well? I know you had.
Tore my bicep. My bicep. My Achilles. Yeah.
So what's the prognosis on that torn pec? Is it a similar thing? Were you out for the season? What was it like trying to come back from that, a torn muscle in the upper body or the upper region?
Yeah, so I mean, the recovery often hurts worse than the surgery. The biggest thing is being smart, because I mean, we're young guys they're young guys rather. I'm getting up there. You know, I mean, my hair don't even grow on my top of my head no more. So, but anyway, when you're a young guy, you're used to being physically dominant. You're used to being, your body does what you tell it to do. You ain't hit that age yet where your body starts to train you all these different ways. So you need to listen to the doctors, because although you may be able to get away with pushing it really hard and saying like, oh, I feel great, my arm is almost back to where it is. If you don't listen to the doctors, to the good noobs in the chat, if you don't listen to the doctors, you can end up in a situation where you re-aggravate it or re-tear it all together, which destroys all your progress. So it's hard, because you're going to be chomping at the bit. You're going to feel like you can do more. And here's the thing. You may actually be capable of doing more. But the minute that you start to push and press, you end up in a situation where you're on teetering that borderline. You're teetering that fine-tooth comb of, hey, am I doing this? Am I doing enough to stay in shape, or am I hurting myself in a way that, it just doesn't work out, and I'm going to re-injure myself. So coming back, the biggest thing is respect your body, listen to your body, but also listen to the doctors. Your body may feel great. Listen to those doctors. Listen to them and stay locked in with that. And the other thing is, the only good thing about a lower body injury is it's easier to stay in shape than a lower body injury. Because when you get an upper body injury, you can get on the bike all day. Even with the sling, you can get on the bike, do your thing, all that good stuff. With a lower body injury, it's much harder to stay in shape, because most of the things that you need a lot of cardiovascular endurance for, you're using your legs much more than your upper body. So, it'll be an easier time for him to stay in shape. It'll be an easier time for him to kind of, it'll be a time where if he comes back with big old horse legs like Andre Williams from BC a few years ago, don't be surprised.
So let's get to it. Can I play some Mike Denbrock from you for you, KG, to set you up? This is Mike Denbrock talking about the young offensive line, the decision that needs to be made, whether to go with the veterans, SEC road game, hostile environment, or go ahead. The freshmen have shown they're ready. Go ahead and throw them in the deep end of the pool. This is what Mike Denbrock had to say. 2 or 3 clips talking about that decision and eventually what's going to lead him to come to it. Here's clip 1.
I think it's what we ask for as coaches, right? They consistently perform at a high level, and stacking days together and stacking periods together and stacking reps together. This isn't anything we've rewarded them with. They've earned opportunities to be seen against the best things that our defense can provide us, and then we'll make our final decisions and evaluations from there. But it's because of the work that they've done, because of the consistency that they've shown and the ability that they've shown, quite frankly, that's put them in the position to do it.
Now, KG, that's him talking about why Sam Pendleton and why Anthony Knapp, the redshirt freshman and true freshman, have been getting run with the ones and are in consideration to start their first ever college football game in what most deem a tough situation, going up against that defensive line on the road in a hostile environment. So, from your take, hearing what Mike Denbrock said, anytime a coach says, look, we asked them to come in and compete and be consistent, and when they do it, what are we supposed to do? Like, what did you take from what Mike Denbrock said about what they've done so far in fall camp?
Coaches are not, or let me not say coaches in general, some coaches are not smart enough to be very intentional with their words or to avoid certain things, or it's not even a lack of intelligence. it's an intentionality in being, hey, this is who I am. I'm gonna say what I mean and mean what I say. Denbrock's one of those guys. So let me tell you why what he said was important. I was covering camp for a different team, not NC State, but they said this team, we're going to have young guys play. Some of these young guys are going to have to step up. Now, notice the difference in verbiage there from they've come in, they've been consistent, as opposed to they have to play. One of those implies it's not a matter of choice. It's a matter of force. Listen, we ain't got nobody that can ball. You have to get out there, as opposed to I think that the panic is overblown because Notre Dame is used to having somewhat of a farm system of offensive linemen where, like, you're not used to seeing a bunch of guys start as freshmen. You're not used to seeing it. You're used to seeing guys, hey, you're going to sit on the bench for a few years, you're going to red shirt, you're going to take a couple of years, you're going to get your body right, and then you're going to go ahead. Sometimes there are going to be players that break that mold, and it's better to have players break that mold with experience behind them than to have players break that mold where you're like, these guys behind them are bums. I don't feel comfortable with them. Because if you go with the youth over experience and that youth starts to show, they start to get a little rattled in the moment gets a little bit too big for them, you can go to quality experience behind them and say, you know what, I feel comfortable. You're good with that, as opposed to saying, you know what, these young guys, they've been up and down, and it's all about consistency with young guys, but they've shown flashes, and at this point, they have to play. That's a concerning statement. And that's not what I heard from Denbrock at all. This was more of the young guys won the battle. What do you want from me? I've asked, be relevant when your number's called. They were the more relevant. I don't know what you want from me. That's what it is.
Man, Irish fans, you heard it from a guy that's lived in the trenches, talks about the trenches, analyzes the trenches. Either you can play or you can't. And when you have young people showing that you can play, and this is the thing, KG, this is what baffles me. I've been covering Notre Dame for about 4 to 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Notre Dame fans have begged Marcus Freeman to come in and improve recruit, go after better players.
Right.
He's done that.
Yes.
They asked him to improve the depth on the roster. He's done that. They asked him to come in and change the predecessor system where young talent didn't get a fair opportunity.
Right.
And he always went with the veterans that were less talented.
Right.
Notre Dame fans begged for that. They begged for that. And when the day comes that it finally manifests itself, now they're panicking. Oh my God. What does it say if youngsters are getting the starting nod? This is what you prayed for. This is exactly what you've been praying for. Play the youngsters, play the more talented players.
Right.
And now it's here. Hey, this is, I don't think anybody in Tuscaloosa want to see a true freshman come in the middle of a national championship game and throw an interception his first series. Oh, but in that overtime.
Yeah. And here's the thing about that, right? At the end of the day, careful what you wish for because you just might get it.
You just might get it.
You just might get it. And so I don't understand what the problem is here. If there was here's the thing, right? You have to understand building up equity. And I'm going to say this to Notre Dame fans because I get it, story tradition, extremely story tradition. You want that championship level back. I get it. I'm with you. The gold paint needs to have the luster of yesteryear. I understand. I'm with you. Let me let y'all in on a secret, okay? The reality is the offensive line at Notre Dame, the offensive line coaches, everybody, the run game coordinators, all of them, they have earned your trust and equity. They have earned that equity to where there should be, you need to give them your trust because how many first rounders does he have to develop? How many guys does he need to put in the NFL before you're like, oh, okay, all right, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt. We'll give you we look at a similar situation in terms of NC State losing Peyton Wilson to the NFL draft, losing Jalen Scott, our top 2 tacklers from last year. And everybody, there were many people who were concerned, including myself to some degree. But you know what I came to before camp started that I felt good about? I said, you know what? I am worried about the drop-off somewhat, but we've got Tony Gibson coaching up our linebackers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know about you, but if I'm looking at the track record of Notre Dame offensive line, ever since, I mean, this is through the generations now, but especially as of late, I'm going to trust that my offensive line coach knows some talent. I'm going to trust that my offensive line coach knows, hey, we're going to get right. We're going to do what we need to do. So I, you know, fans, short for fanatic, I get it. Folks are going to get in a tizzy about a lot of things. But I'm going to tell you, I feel like this is bizarre world worried about Notre Dame's offensive line. I never, ever, ever seen a day where I thought to myself, oh, I'm worried about Notre Dame's offensive line. I just don't know what they got going on over there. That's a tough sell for me.
Lucky Lefty Podcast. So one more clip. This is something that I hope Notre Dame fans can take to heart when it comes to the dilemma that's facing Marcus Freeman, Mike Denbrock, and Joe Rudolph when they're trying to decide who they're going to start at the left side of that offensive line. And when Mike Denbrock said this, I said, man, that kind of hit me in the heart because, yeah, I have a child as well.
You know, a lot of people in here have their own children, right? So at what point do you trust them to themselves, right? You're ready. You're ready for this, right? Or do you hold on and say, well, you know, this maybe is not the best place, or those are hard decisions, right? Within families and obviously within trying to construct an offensive line that can match up against our week 1 opponent and all the ones down the road and be the type of force that we're going to need that group to be. So those are not easy scenarios for sure. And we're trying to work through them and make the best decision that's best for the.
That's it. I mean, that's a tough decision. I love his comparison. Like, as a coach, as a parent, when do you let them go? When do you take the training wheels off and say, you're ready? Okay, now I'm just going to have to trust my coaching and my training that is in you, and it's going to come out. I can't hear you.
Maybe I'm wrong here, but
there you go.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here's the biggest thing I heard out of that, and maybe I'm wrong here because I'm not a parent. But you tell me, Sean, because you got kids, so you tell me.
Kid. I have a kid.
You have
don't give me extra. Yeah, don't give me extra.
I'll apologize. You got a kid. You got a kid. A wonderful daughter that's off in college and all that now. So you got to help me out here. But it seemed to me that he was making that comparison because, like you said, trust my coaching, but also it's trusting your talent. The same way you trust your parenting, you also got to trust. Nurture can only go so far. Nature going to take over at some point in time. I got to trust my kid can do what they need to do here. And the same thing happens with these players. Whether it's an old guy, whether it's an inexperienced guy, whether it's a guy who's played a ton of snaps in college, whether it's a guy who's played no snaps in college outside of camp, you have to hit that moment where I'm a firm believer coaching gets you through the first 3 steps or the 3 steps at the moment of truth. That's all that coaching can do. Everything in between that and after that, you got to be a playmaker. When it comes to setting down, when it comes to getting into your pass set and where your hands need to go in your original punch, coaching can get you that. When your hands get knocked off and you got to reset them, that's partially coaching, but it's also how well do you sit down and anchor naturally. If I got to coach you on how to sit down and anchor when your hands are going, you may not need to be at a Notre Dame. That may not, and again, it's like with your kids. If I can't trust you to go out at night, period, I don't know if I want you out at a college campus. You out of my sight line and I can't trust you after 8 p.m. This is going to be a problem. You have to trust. You have to say, like you said, I've done my part. I trust my coaching, but I also trust that you're going to be an athlete and do what you need to do. Because if I can't trust that you're going to be an athlete and figure it out, I don't care if I'm the greatest coach there ever was, ever will be, and that will ever come. I still would not put that guy up against a ball player that coaching ain't the best, but at some point in time, he can figure it out athletically.
Lucky Lefty Podcast, Sean Davis and Kent Gibbs, locked on ACC, locked on Wolfpack, locked on college football, talking Notre Dame offensive line. And now, KG, you know Jay Bateman very well.
Yeah.
You've scouted him for many years.
Yep.
As a defensive coordinator, he's a new defensive coordinator for the Texas A&M Aggies. As I said before, 11% sack percentage last year. Here's the tricky thing. 11 of those sacks came from their linebackers.
Yes.
42 sacks on the season. 11 of those sacks came from the linebackers that are no longer on the squad. They're in the NFL on NFL rosters.
Mm-hmm.
Linebacking core a little short this year for the Texas A&M Aggies.
Absolutely.
Not as deep. Still very good. They went out, definitely got a few upgrades in the portal. But they're not as deep. Not as deep. They still have stars. They moved some of their defensive ends to the interior. So how would they adjust playing specifically the interior as opposed to the outside? But they're still formidable. My question to you, with that information I just gave you, and then bring into fact or bring into that equation, shall I say, that the Notre Dame offensive line might feature two freshmen, red shirt and true, on the left side. Knowing Jay Bateman, how do you see this playing out? And then my question for you is this where the impact of Riley Leonard comes into play with his legs even more in this game if you're Mike Denbrock?
So I want to hit you with a fact, okay? Because you hit me with how many of their sacks came from the outside and all that. But I want to hit you with a fact. Do you know where Jay Bateman was last year? He was Florida's inside linebacker coach.
Yes.
Everybody talked about how bad Florida's defense was, but that wasn't his fault. You know, he was just coaching the inside linebacker. You know where he was before that? The old Dirty Foot Club, the Tar Heels over there at Apple Hill.
Yes.
That's where it was. Quick question. Do you know why he left, Chuck Will? He was fired. He was ran out of town. The defense stank, stunk. You understand? So I say all that to say this. The reality of Jay Bateman is he sounds great on paper. I don't know how he keeps getting these jobs. It is quite literally mind-blowing. I don't know why Mike Elko, of all people, would hire him, because if anything, Mike Elko is the dude. He's the guy. When it comes to calling the defense, when it comes to having the swarming defense, Elko is the guy. How you end up with Bateman on your staff is I am legitimately flabbergasted by that hire. You're at Texas A&M. You got all the money in the world. Go get somebody else immediately. But I digress. I'm going to tell you this. Of all the things to be worried about in the world, if you're a Notre Dame football fan, I would be worried about Kim Jong-un hitting the red button first before I worry about a Jay Bateman coach defense and whether or not my offensive line has the ability to hold up. I am sorry. That is with all due respect. I know that they have fantastic athletes over there. The only way that defense is going to piss a drop is because Mike Elko stepped in and took over. Okay? That is the only way that defense is going to look appropriate. Because again, when I say I have never thought of Jay Bateman and thought that's a winner. He's a guy. He does it well. He does it the right way. His defenses are going to be special. I have never once in my entire life thought that about Jay Bateman. Never. And I'm telling you that as a guy who not only have I watched him, not only have I seen him on TV, I am telling you I have broken down the All-22 up close and personal and just thought, what the hell is this guy looking at? Where are his eyes go? What is his key? And to see one guy mess something up, you can say, oh, that's on him. He's not Good. Okay. To see two guys messed up, you're like, oh, what's going on there? When you see multiple players, and I mean multiple rotations of players, all getting the same reads incredibly wrong, you're coaching them. You're coaching them to do it wrong. And with all due respect, again, I would be shocked and appalled if Jay Bateman and this defensive line were to have a good day against Notre Dame. Can they hold their own? I think the talent is at that level that they may be able to hold their own. I agree. I will give them that. To say I'm concerned and this will be an Achilles heel of the Irish, I highly doubt that.
Yeah, I love my boy Sid Irish from up there in New York, bro. But this is one of the most capped comments I've ever seen. The last 2 to 4 years of our O-line has been met. KG, you watch the film. You watch the film, bro. That's what you do.
Listen, if I'll say this, if the last 2 to 4 years has been met, you must imagine nothing but the Hogs from Washington with that double guard pull, that what's the word I'm looking for? That buck sweep action with John Riggins coming around the corner. That's the only good offensive line play you've ever seen. You know, the old Green Bay Packers, a seal here, run it in the alley is the only good offensive line play you ever seen, because Notre Dame has not. If you're comparing Notre Dame to Notre Dame standard, that's a different conversation to have. But if you're comparing them just to,
let me just insert this: they're spoiled,
and
because they don't watch other offensive lines.
Hey, you said it, not me.
They're spoiled. I'll say it. They're spoiled, and then they whine. They whine.
I'm gonna tell you.
But this is it. But they won't say the last 5 years of quarterback play. Man, I'll go the last 10 years of quarterback play in Notre Dame has been met.
Now
8 to 10 met. The last 8 to 10 years of wide receiver in Notre Dame has been met.
Now that I will agree with.
Right.
That I will 1,000% agree with.
Right.
But now,
if that's been met, and you think the offensive line has been met, then you need to do some reevaluation.
But that's
you need to do some reevaluation.
That's the thing. To me, and this is the toughest part about calling the offensive line at Notre Dame met. If the offensive line last 2 to 4 years has been met, the quarterback and wide receiver room have been toilet water. Them boys have been garbage truck juice. They've been awful. They've been unwatchable. They've been the offensive line has been the strength of this team. And again, I'm not, far be it for me to be the arbiter of what is or is not good play to your standard, right? My mom, me and my sister would get the same GPA. We would get the exact same grade point average. And my mom would say,
you didn't get the same gift?
Huh?
You didn't get the same gift?
No, it wasn't no gifts. It wasn't no gifts. It was just the words. My mom would say to my sister, Kylie, you did a great job. Way to go. You knocked it out the park. We told you to strive for greatness, and you did it. And she'll tell me, you think this enough to shut me up? You think this enough? You can do better. You think that you did just enough to make me. And I say, Mom, we got the same grade. And she say, she gave everything she had. You sleptwalked your way through this. And
did she use the word lollygagging? Because
absolutely.
I love using the word lollygag.
Absolutely. Shit, lackadaisical effort. That was my mom.
Yeah.
You just went in that class and gave just a lackadaisical effort. That's what you did. That's what. So I'm trying to tell you, if you compare Notre Dame to that offensive line to that level of like, hey, this is something that they need to be on a whole nother level. Okay, I hear you and I understand you. If you're comparing them to the rest of the offensive lines in the NCAA, I have a tough time saying of all the teams that I've seen, they're the best by far. But I would imagine of the teams that I haven't seen and the teams who have won the best offensive line awards, I would say they'd probably still be top 5 in the nation out of everybody. That includes your Michigans of the world. Washington had one good year, but even with Washington, I think they were excellent in pass blocking. I don't think their run blocking was quite there. I just don't think it was. As opposed to Notre Dame's O-line, you get both. You get both that elite run blocking and that pass blocking at a high level. And, I think the offensive line has been elite enough to say, hey, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. But, again, that's me on the outside looking in. If y'all know something about Notre Dame, Lord, I don't, I ain't going to argue with you.
The loss to Ohio State wasn't the offensive line's fault.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll say this.
Now they played the last 3 quarters against Duke, offensive line. Dude, I've never in 3 years, Duke was the only game where I literally would say Joe Alt had a bad game. Not a bad series, not a bad play, a bad game.
And let me tell you, I was at that game in person, and that was that moment I said to myself, this Duke team may go forth and win the ACC if Riley Leonard can stay healthy. When I was watching that game, when I was watching that game up before he got hurt, I said, oh man, this team is probably going to go on to win the ACC, because that defense, again, they were so swarming. They were everywhere. And like you said, I was at that game in person, and I saw it in person. I said, ooh, Dwayne Carter is making their guards look silly. Oh, man, Joe Alt.
RJ Oben, who's now in Notre Dame, was making Joe Alt look crazy.
Listen, I said these guys are out here doing their thing. They're absolutely moving and grooving. But again, one game a team does not make, right? Like, objectively speaking, if anything, I would say that the belief that they are met is kind of, like you said, it's a sign of being spoiled, but it's a sign of the expectations. It really is, because it's just like, if anybody knows a household where the parenting ain't exactly at the same level, or one parent not in the household, the parent that don't do much, the expectation is much less for them. Like, oh, they showed up. Good job. The parent that's always there, you got to be a team dad or team mom. You got to do all that extra stuff to get the love. Is because you always show up. That offensive line, the fact that people look at that game and say, has Notre Dame's offensive line fallen off? Not even considering the fact that Duke was one of the best defenses in the nation against the run is, it's a thought. It's a thought for sure.
Lucky Lefty podcast. So moving forward, give me the advantages of playing these youngsters on the left side, and then give us the disadvantages of playing them on the left side, hostile environment against a great defensive line.
Yeah. So, all right, let's go advantages first. Number one, you're looking at a long-term stock. You're looking at 401k. What does that mean? Right? You're investing in them early. You're giving them those reps in live game time early now. So in 2 to 3 years, when their bodies are as developed as they're ever going to be, they're going to have guys around them who may need to figure it out, may need help. They'll be the leaders. They'll be the catalyst and the temperature setters, because they can say, hey, listen, I went down to Aggie Land as an 18-year-old. I was slow dancing at prom 4 months earlier, and then I had to go out there and show up in Aggie Land. I can tell you, now that we're going to the Swamp, or now that we're going to LSU, or now that Ohio State's coming back to South Bend, or we going to the Horseshoe, I can tell you what it looks like. I can tell you we ready to go into the big house and do this. You're ready because I was you a few years ago. And also, there's, even if they don't perform well, there is beauty in the struggle, and growth comes from uncomfortability. You will learn way more from the reps that you lose than the reps that you win. So having your first game be against a group that you're not going to win every rep. Because let's just be honest, right? If your first game is Southeastern Valdosta, Mississippi Valley State Community College for the differently abled, you are looking at a situation.
Well, you sound like you naming a church with all the denominations right there.
Listen, I'm just saying, some of these colleges I saw on whose schedule was it? SMU. They had HCU. I said, oh, they play Holy Cross. It's Houston Central University. I said, who is Houston Central? I never get the Island of Misfit Toys Community College out of here. But in all seriousness, having that game be against a squad that even if they both go out and have fantastic games, there are going to be some reps that they lose. There are going to be some reps they can learn from. They can watch the film and say, okay, let's go back. What do we do here? There's a lot of value in that. And here's the other thing. They may be too young to know how big the moment is. They may be too young to know there's NFL money on the line right now. Because a senior, he may get a little tight. He may be thinking to himself, this is it. If I don't play well in this game right here, I could be dropping millions of dollars. Freshmen are too dumb there. Hey, I'm trying to make All-American, baby. I'm trying to get me a new NIL deal at the end of this thing, man. I'm enjoying myself. So it's that inexperience may work in your favor in that, again, you're too young to know this may be one of the biggest games of the year. This may be a playoff race decider. You're too young to know, so you're just going out there having fun. Ignorance is bliss. Do. Let me get my kick step right. Let me put my hands where they need to be because I'm just having fun, baby. So those are the advantages. The obvious disadvantages, you run the risk of generally, if you're starting a young guy over an older guy, they generally have a higher ceiling but a lower floor. Because when young guys start to lose, sometimes they start to get in their head about these things, and it's tough to bring them back out of that. It's tough to bring them out that shell if you give up a sack or two, if you give up a sack, strip, fumble type of deal, and you just sitting there, oh man, I don't know, my technique was wrong, I don't know, and you start to press as opposed to an older guy who's been there and done that a little bit more. So that's one of the disadvantages. Another one of the disadvantages in playing the young guy is you haven't seen reps where like your quarterback's life is on the line. Like very seriously, you have not seen it. And it's a different, yes, practice is intense. Yes, I'm sure Oben is getting them ready in practice. Yes, I'm sure that y'all got some edge rushers that's coming in practice, getting them ready. The reality is everything changes a little on game day. That notch. And on top of the speed turning up, these guys that you're about to play against, they got things in their package that maybe your guys don't have. So now you're going to see some entirely new things. And you studied it. You studied this guy's dent rip or club rip, or you studied his dip technique. You studied it. But it's different when it happened in the game. It's different when he sailed that dent rip that he used to kill last year. All of a sudden, it's a spin move. You know, so it has its pluses, it has its minuses, but just the same way I said you're betting on your 401k and the long haul here, you could also be looking at a situation where if this game goes poorly for them, you could be making a very risky investment for that game at least, to where like if they're struggling, they're going to struggle mightily and not just he had some reps where he didn't look comfortable, but he overall got it together and bounced back in the way that an older guy might be able to.
Yeah, I remember when Joe Alt came in as a third string left tackle, that first game and a half was kind of like, but then after the third game, people were looking around like, hey, Notre Dame might have, Blake Fisher might have to go to right tackle next year. So you're right. You know, it might be a battle for their lives. Literally, it just might be survival. We're just trying to break even this first game, just not get embarrassed. Right. And then when we get to the easier part of the schedule, now we get better week by week. And it's going to be very interesting. Let me ask you this question, and then we're going to move on because it's time to talk power rankings and overrated squads this year.
Let's do it.
What is your preference? Would you rather have offensive line that's okay, really good quarterback and wide receivers, or quarterback and wide receivers that are okay with a really good offensive line?
Oh, that's tough. That's tough. But if I'm talking college, give me the skill positions, because you can game plan around getting away from good defensive lines a lot.
You can do what? You can do what?
You can game plan around it. Yeah.
So this is where Mike Denbrock comes in as opposed to Jared Parker, right?
Yeah, go make your money.
Okay. You got so tell people about Jared Parker. Just tell people the difference between Jared Parker and Mike Denbrock as a game caller. Because the one thing, even after Notre Dame defeated your North Carolina State Wolfpack, you talked to us like the next 2 days and were like, I just don't understand why, dude, they just kept calling the same 5 plays.
I mean, listen, I will say this. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I get that it was working for him, but, you know, offensively, I think the offense last year was a little stale. I think it was a little stale. I think it was repetitive, and I think it leaned much too heavily on our players are better than yours, and that's just it. I didn't see guys getting schemed open. I didn't see, to me, I think it was too reliant on, hey, we're strong, we're better than you, we can move you, so we'll run a lot of power and then we'll run play action off that power. And because we've gashed you with it, you'll have to be in react mode. But what happens if you're not gashing the team off the power? That becomes the question, and that becomes where you got to show where you got to earn your money as an offensive coordinator. Now, that's, to me, I believe that, any offensive coordinator can draw up, hey, my players are better than yours. Any offensive coordinator can draw up 50-50 jump balls, all that type of stuff. The special offensive coordinators draw up guys running wide open. That's the difference. That if you look at those Bama days when Lane Kiffin was the OC, look at how many guys. It didn't matter that they were better than you, because guess what? Even if they weren't, even when they bought the backups and third string guys, were running wide open, and you're like, what is this? That you just didn't see that same level with Notre Dame. It was very much so relying on, hey, we're not going to trick you. We're not going to run things that mess with your eyes and mess with your keys. We'll just mess with you by saying, we're going to punch you in the mouth a lot. And then we're going to pretend like we're hitting you with that cross, uppercut, when you try to duck it out, that type of deal. So it wasn't as much of that, I'm going to find a way to scheme guys open. It was much more of a, my guys are better than your guys, and we'll figure it out type of deal.
It's going to be very interesting how this game plays out. A lot of people see it as a low-scoring game. Defense is dominating, and we'll see who makes it, first to 21, first to 24. And then some other people feel like, man, if Notre Dame can jump out on a team that is in transition under Mike Elko and take the steam out of that crowd, Riley Leonard might be able to put on a show and start his march to New York and possible Heisman candidacy down there at College Station, August 31st. Prime time, baby. ABC, Fighting Irish against the Texas A&M Aggies. All right. The ESPN Power Rankings came out this week. KG, what stood out to you from the Power Rankings? Do you think they fit the not Fighting Irish? AP poll, they were 7. Power Rankings, they were 6. They have the best odds, according to a lot of sports books, to make the college football playoff this year, mostly due to the schedule after the Texas A&M game, and sandwiched in between Texas A&M in November, where they get USC and Florida State. What stands out to you about the Power Rankings, the ESPN Power Rankings?
Why under God's green earth are those boys from Norman, Oklahoma ranked that high? What are we doing here? What are we? The Bonds ain't walking through that door. Adrian Peterson ain't walking through that door. I believe Trent Williams went there. He ain't walking through that door either. Ain't none of them folks walking through that door. What under God? Here's the thing. Brent Venables was supposed to be the Bud Foster of the 2010s through whenever he retired. That's what he was supposed to be. He's an excellent. He is. To watch defenses coached by him is a thing of joy. To watch how wonky and funky the blitzes that he throws out are. I've seen blitz packages from Brent Venables that are literally like, it almost makes me want to cry how detailed that dog pattern is. It's like a triple A gap blitz with the safety. Who thinks of that? You're a madman. He shouldn't be a head coach. He shouldn't be a head coach. I'm sorry. Listen, I like Ohio. I'm sorry. I like Oklahoma. I like the university. They're cool. Their traditions are cool. All that good stuff. Love the Red River rivalry. I don't think he has what it takes to be a high-level head coach. I just don't. I think he's always going to struggle because you're recruiting against Texas, and Sark is objectively one of the best recruiters in the game. And we talk about sober Sark now. Even when Sark was drinking like a fish, he could out-recruit you. He could be off a half pint. Come in there.
This isn't tarmac Sark getting left, right?
Hey, baby. Hey, let me tell you something, okay? I done had a little bit of sauce, but I'm all right. That Sark could out-recruit you, let alone this sober, locked-in Sark. Venables has no chance of winning those battles in Texas and Oklahoma against Sark. That's just what it is and what it's going to be. So I don't understand how that team is ranked out. Do they have some talent? Absolutely. Absolutely. They do. I don't see them being, and just for reference, guess how many games that Oklahoma team has from teams that are ranked above them in terms of the preseason AP rankings? Take a wild guess. Just throw a number out there. I'll tell you if you're right or wrong.
10.
You think they got 10 games? They're number 15 team.
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear the question. My fault. I thought you said teams. Go say it again.
How many teams do you think they have to play that are ranked above them in the AP top 25?
3.
6. Half of their schedule is ranked above
that schedule. So that schedule is worse than Florida's? Because Florida's November schedule is like the worst I've ever seen.
Let me tell you something. The only thing that's making their November schedule manageable is they play Maine on November 2nd. After that, you're at Missouri. Bama's coming to you. You're at Death Valley. That's how they end the season. Oklahoma is in for a 6-7, maybe 7-6 season. I'm sorry to tell you.
Wow, you have them going, man. Wow.
You tell me where you see the wins. Okay?
I would have first year in the SEC. I would have them about Jackson Arnold, new starter, whom they seem to love coming out of their spring camp. I really haven't checked in on the fall camp. I could see them winning 9-4.
And let me tell you what. Let me ask you where the 9 games come from.
Yeah, go through the schedule. Go through the schedule.
Temple, win or loss.
1. Win.
Houston, win or loss.
Win. I'm giving them a win. It's going to be tougher than most people think, though.
Absolutely. Tulane, win or loss.
They're 3-0.
Okay.
They could lose one of those 2, though.
Okay. Tennessee, win or loss.
Where is it at?
It's in Oklahoma.
I'm being hospitable tonight. I'm in a good mood. 4-0.
Okay.
Ooh, whoa. Ooh, because I actually think Nico is a better quarterback than Jackson Arnold.
Listen, I don't think it's close between those two. But I'm
gonna go 4-0. I'm gonna go 4-0.
I'll even give you that one. I'll even give you that one because I think Tennessee's defensive line is overrated, and I think Oklahoma can run the ball, figure out some things there. Auburn, win or loss.
Where is it at?
It's at Auburn.
That's a loss to me.
Okay. So now you got 4, and now we going into the real nitty-gritty. Texas, Red River rivalry. What we got?
That's a loss. I think Texas is going to get them back for last year. That's a loss.
All right. South Carolina at home. Win or loss?
That's a win.
Okay. Ole Miss at Ole Miss.
That's a loss.
Maine.
That's a win.
Missouri at Missouri.
Ooh. I'll go Mizzou. I think Mizzou's the better team this year.
Okay. Then you got Bama at home.
I would probably right now. I probably would take Bama. Honestly, I would.
And then you're ending your season in Death Valley.
I can't stand their head coach, so I'm going to go Oklahoma.
Okay, you just told me 7, so they got to flip 2. They got to flip 2 on top. And you said
wait. I just gave them 7 wins.
You gave them 7. That's what I'm saying. Their schedule is extremely tough, and I don't think they're a team that's built for it. I just don't.
I think Brent is worth 1.
Brent
is worth 1.
So even if I flip you 1, we up to 8. We up to 8. I don't. And again, you said you being hospitable. I'm not.
Man,
I'm a terrible host. Take your shoes off. Put your drinks on the coaster. Don't talk too loud. Don't touch my thermostat. Only get 1 plate. You touch anything more than 1 plate, I'll throw you out like Jazzy Jeff used to get thrown out by Uncle Phil. I'm not hospitable. That team is winning 6, maybe 7 games max. I don't see more than if they have 8. They've had the best season they could have possibly had. I don't see 9 anywhere in that.
All right. Yeah, you went deep with that one. But now you stated. Now that you've stated your case, I rock with that.
All I'm saying is I would be legitimately shocked. If I saw Oklahoma in the top 25 at the end of the season. I would be like, them boys have fought for their life and they deserve every bit of being in the top 25. I really would.
I'm going to say that the Alabama Crimson Tide are slightly, being 5 in the power rankings, is slightly ranked ahead of where they should be.
I'll feel you knocking on. I'll feel you knocking.
I would put them probably around 9, 10.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, because I just don't know who Jalen Milroe is going to be. And if they're just about now, the offensive line is massive. They were inexperienced last year.
Yeah.
By the end of the season, very similar to Notre Dame, right?
Mm-hmm.
People were blaming the offensive line for the offensive struggles early in the season. They were able to make it to the middle of the season, still with the shot to make it to the SEC championship game. That offensive line matured. They got better, and the offensive line was one of the big reasons they beat Georgia in that SEC championship game. And they played Michigan to a standstill and gave the opportunity to win the game. Jalen Milroe just wasn't good enough as a quarterback, especially in the passing game.
That snap ruined them in overtime.
Killed them.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Like, even as you get better, what has plagued you the majority of the year and the biggest moments will finally show up. Now, that for Notre Dame fans, even as this inexperienced line matures, yes, it's a good chance that late in the season, at a big moment, the things that have plagued you with this inexperienced offensive line as they learn can possibly show up in a playoff game. But we have to wait and see. But those are the type of things that do show up. But I would say Alabama for me. I wouldn't have them at 5. I would have them probably around 9, 10. Personally, I have a little bit more respect for the Wolverines and what I think they're going to be. They're not as deep, but when it comes to the trenches, Group 1 on both sides, they're elite.
Yeah,
they're elite. Defensive line, offensive line, the ones, elite. If they can avoid injury, their defensive backfield, elite. Linebackers, that's what they do. They produce linebackers at Michigan every year. That's what they do.
Absolutely.
NFL linebackers, NFL defensive backs. So I'm banking on their health. And even though the competition has gotten tougher, heck, they start off, I keep telling people, you think Texas is just going to walk into that stadium, 110,000, and just roll Michigan? You got another thing coming.
All right.
Quinn Ewers better do some push-ups.
People joke about the big house being like a giant library. Now, I will agree. For certain games, because it's so big and it was built out, not up, it is a struggle. I went to that Notre Dame game when I was being recruited. That was way back in 2020.
Wow.
Way back. It was when I tell you.
Wait, was that the shoelaces game that Notre Dame blew?
It was. Let me tell you,
Tommy Reese. That dang Tommy Reese. Boy.
When I tell you,
Michael Floyd was giving them the business early. He was giving them the business.
When I tell you my ears were ringing after that game, when I tell you my ears were ringing, I mean, it was devastatingly loud in their stadium. Listen, if you think that Texas is going to come in and roll, they may pull away late.
Yeah.
If you think they're going to come in and beat them off the break, okay. All right. Good for you.
Yeah, that game, Notre Dame fans, I'm telling you, the chat is about to light up because we all remember that game. Tommy turned the ball over 3 times in the red zone, having a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter. Him and Wade breaking loose.
Yeah.
Don't do that to us like that, KG.
Lucky. Listen, it was a great game for me. It was a great game. At that time, I was
as a Cass Tech Detroit kid, I'm sure it was a great game for you.
Oh, it was a great game.
So, who's your second team that you look at and say,
You know, I generally tend to think that these things are always somewhat right, and I hate to do this because they got a couple of my boys from Cass Tech over there. I really hate to do this, and it's not the Wolverines. It's Penn State, man. It's Penn State.
You can't trust them. You can't trust them.
They do this every year.
Yes.
We do it every year. We think that they're a real contender every year until a real contender pulls up. Every time we say, and here's the thing. I would love for Coach Franklin to be this elite coach that has an elite program. I believe that they're Big Ten elite. Yes, they're elite in the Big Ten. Sure. There's Ohio State, there's Michigan, and then there's them. Well, with the addition of these new teams, there's Ohio State, there's Michigan, and then I think Oregon and Penn State are about neck and neck, maybe give a slight edge to Oregon. I don't believe they're real contenders. I don't believe they're for real. And every year they start off either in the top 10 or right outside the top 10. It's like we see what happens when you play a top 10 team. I don't believe you. You need more people. You can never sell me the Penn State dream. With all due respect, Joe Pa ain't walking through that door. God rest his soul. He is not walking through that door. I am sorry to tell you, Penn State is not there. Okay? Franklin is a really good coach. He's a really good recruiter. I don't believe that his heart is in it at Penn State to the level that you need to win at the highest level at Penn State. I just don't.
I actually love what they do and the job that he's done in elevating. He's elevated recruiting.
I agree.
Their defense is always fantastic. I thought their team last year literally was competent quarterback play away from beating Ohio State and Michigan. You're going to watch both of those games.
I agree.
If they get competent quarterback play, they win both of those games. I really believe that's how close they were to being a championship contender last year. It was literally the quarterback position. Like, if they had competent quarterback play, they're in the Final Four, in my opinion. But once again, they're coming back with the same incompetent quarterback play, very similar to Clemson, running it back as if, oh, we figured it out. We figured it out, this kid. He's gotten so much better in the offseason. No, man. No. When a kid shows you who he is,
believe him.
Believe him.
Believe that young man.
Yeah.
He's telling you. He told you. You synced it. You saw it. He gonna do it again.
Yes.
He gonna do it again.
Absolutely. I'm going to surprise you. Go ahead.
I'm just going to say this. My biggest gripe with Penn State is not just that they always underwhelm in big games. It's, again, that I don't feel the passion to be there from Franklin. And that's with all due respect. I can't stand Bill O'Brien. Anybody who knows me knows what a unserious joker I think Bill O'Brien is. When Bill O'Brien was there and he was rebuilding that program after everything had gone south because of the Sandusky stuff and the weird case and all that, the reality is you could feel Bill O'Brien's passion to be there. All the way up until the day he took the Texans job, you could feel it. It was palpable. Like, he's here. I'm here. I want this. I don't feel that from Franklin. I just don't feel it. Maybe it's just because he has a cool, calm, and collected demeanor, but I just don't. I don't feel it. But go proceed with telling me your second team.
Do you get the feeling he's just waiting for the right situation?
Yeah. He waiting on that next big job to pop off, and it's like, brother, I'm sorry to tell you, you should have never took the Penn State job if that's the case, because Penn State is not a leapfrog job into something better. Like, it
makes you think he wants NFL. He has to be looking NFL.
Either NFL or one of these really, really big name teams in the NCAA, but it's like, you're not, with what you're doing, you're not going to get it. Right. Why would, let's just say left is right and Riley Leonard mid square. Y'all win 8 games this year, and everybody's like, all right, we're going to get rid of our current head coach here. You think they're going after Franklin?
No.
If USC decides, you know what, we've had enough of Lincoln Riley, play some damn defense. We need some defense. We need to restore Troy. We need to bring that defense back. You think they're going after Franklin?
No.
Billy Napier's seat is so hot, I'm getting sweaty thinking about it. He finna be out at the Swamp. They finna fire him 2 times. Matter of fact, if you listen to this, Billy, don't worry about it. Connect with me on LinkedIn. We need some new hosts on Locked On. That's neither here nor there. The reality is this. Do you think Florida is going to be checking for James after what he's done at Penn State? I doubt it. I doubt it. So with that being said, you boxed yourself into a corner by taking.
Florida has made some bad hires, though.
They have.
They have made some bad hires. They
Hey, listen, I know USC ain't gonna pull that trigger. I know Notre Dame wouldn't pull that trigger.
No,
Florida. But hey, you think the Gators will pull some stuff like that? You never know. You never know.
Hey, so, after that November, they might be real desperate. They might go 0-4 in November. It's crazy.
I don't think that Napier makes it through November. I don't think he makes it through that month. I think he's gone somewhere in the middle, and those players are going to be looking for places to go elsewhere. But I say all that to say, Franklin boxed himself in by taking like the worst job possible, in that you're under the top dogs, but you're near enough to them to where like you're going to be judged by how you do against them. Yeah. Like if you take an Iowa State job, you don't get judged by how well you play against Michigan or Iowa State. Right. If you take an Arizona job, you don't get judged by how well you play against USC and Oregon. You get a little more grace. After Vandy, he immediately took himself on up to Penn State. Things worked out how they worked out.
I am going to surprise you, and I'm
ready.
I think the Wolfpack are poorly ranked in the power rankings. I think they should be higher.
Oh, hey now.
I think they should be higher.
Hey now.
I think they should be higher. And one of the reasons is because I always love when we can bless, being the school that we are, when we can send crumbs off our table to become team captain for the Wolfpack. When we can do that for you, KG, when we can help you out, we just want to bless you, brother.
We appreciate love you. He's a good man, Savannah. He's just in a bad situation. He was in a bad situation. He's a good man. That's a good man, Savannah. I'm excited to have him. Man. He's been a pro since he's been down here. He sounds like a fifth-year senior.
Oh, he's good, man. Solid. He's not going to, wow you, but he's not Jason Kelsey.
Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah. Solid. And that's the thing. Everybody sees an undersized center and they're immediately like, oh, it's Jason Kelsey. Knock it off.
He's not.
He's a good center. He's a good center. He's not Jason Kelsey. But I do agree. Listen, I think he's going to anchor an offensive line that toward the end of the season, they hit their stride big time. When they added Ja'Carrius Peak to the starting lineup, when they made that change at guard, oh, man. All of a sudden, they went from an offense without an identity to, hey, we're going to run the ball. Forget it. We're going to run the ball. It's going to be physical. It's going to be downhill. We're going to run the ball. We're going to do it out of shotgun. We're going to do it with quarterback runs. We're going to do it with Kevin Concepcion running the ball. We're going to find different ways to get our playmakers the ball. But we're going to run this ball. That's what we're going to do. So I greatly appreciate him showing up. I greatly appreciate the offensive line showing up in that way. And I greatly appreciate Z Corral adding into what is quickly, and I'm going to say it, some people might not like it, but I'm going to say it, what is quickly becoming center U at NC State. You know what I mean? Because a string of centers from Garrett Bradbury, who went in the first round of the NFL draft, to Grant Gibson, who was a first-team All-ACC guy, to Dylan McMahon, who was a first-team All-ACC guy, to now Zeke Corral, who was named a captain after being on campus for all of 3 days, for Christ's sake. It's a great time.
I could have predicted that if they had betting lines for him being team captain. I definitely would put some money down on Zeke Corral being team captain. It's just, man, this goes back to what we talked about at the beginning of the show, bro.
Yeah.
He gets hurt at Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
Third string kid comes in, red shirt freshman. He doesn't get his job back.
Yeah.
That's Notre Dame offensive line, bro.
Yeah.
He doesn't get his job back.
Mm-hmm.
Kid gets his opportunity. A guy that was one of your captains and leaders on the team and on the offensive line has to transfer out.
Let me tell you something. Everybody remembers Lou Garrett. Nobody remembers Wally Pipp.
Ooh.
Wally Pipp was a heck of a player. He was a heck of a player in his own right.
Mm-hmm.
He sat out with a headache. Never got that spot back.
Never got the spot back.
So, but then again, does that say something about Wally Pipp or does it say something about Lou Garrett? I say the latter. I say it always says something about the guy replacing him. If the incumbent is good, but the new guy comes in and it's like, hey, you might want to skedaddle. You might want to scram. Ain't no playing time for you around these parts, big dog. That's special.
Yeah, so I'm going to set you up because my third team you gave to I'm going to give my third team and let you go ahead because I think you might jump on this bandwagon. I'm just going to throw you the oop. I'm just going to throw you the oop because I would put North Carolina State around 14, 15.
Right.
I would move them up to around 14, 15. And there's a team in the 15th spot in the power rankings that I just feel like, no, sir. Move them back. I'm contemplating being totally disrespectful and just moving them totally out of the rankings. But I'll put them in the 20s. And I'm talking about Dabo and his Clemson Tigers. Not buying it. Not buying it. I know after the Notre Dame game, he stood in the middle of the field surrounded by the fan base, almost in tears after he had to fight with Tyler from Spartanburg early in the week and was like, if I was you, I'd buy stock in Clemson football right now because the sky's the limit. Yeah, okay. All right. We'll see. First game out the chute. We'll see, ladies and gents. We're going to get a real litmus test early on.
Why do these teams keep scheduling the number one team in the nation for the first game of the season? Did they not learn from Florida State? Florida State got broken by Bama. Did they not learn from USC? USC got broken by Bama. And now, when your program is on the edge of collapse, you're holding on to national relevance with everything you got in you. You holding on to that thing. You are, just please, don't forget about us, national media, please. And you start your season off with Georgia? I know something. I know something about that game. I believe the line is something like 10.5 or something along those lines. Take the dogs. Take the dogs. Take them. Go on and take them.
Get a 10.5? Be generous?
Listen, if they give you free money, you got to take it. You got to take it.
Hey, your boy Dan Lannon had that home and away. After the first edition, he was like, yeah, we can take that second one off the schedule. They don't even need to come west. No need.
You know what?
No need.
He got whooped on so bad. He said, well, you know what had happened was we were originally scheduled to play them, but the proclamation and approximation of a decimation that took place on that field made it so that the Oregon congregation could no longer make the travel arrangements to get them over here. You know, you have to understand that there is a time and a place to run the race, but right now that race is not our lane. You know, Noah Lyles don't run a 1600, does he? You see, you got to understand that. You got
Come on, Ken Warnock. Come on,
listen,
Ken Warnock.
Listen, Dan Lannon started speaking in riddles. I said, y'all thought you was the coach that don't do it for clicks. Why you cancel the home and away? What happened? What? It was a home and home, and you know what? They done whooped us so bad. We done went home, and we gonna stay home. We gonna leave y'all in y'all home and leave you alone. Y'all good people. Y'all good people. We like you. We'll catch you on the rebound. We'll catch you on the flip side. You know, after the Georgia's Highway Patrol finish getting y'all players up out of there, we will maybe think about coming back. But for now, we got to chill where we are. So I 1,000% agree that this is going to be a program. This I have said all year, all offseason rather. I don't think that Clemson wins 10 games this year. I don't think they win 9 games this year. I think this first game breaks them. And after the reason I say I don't think Clemson wins 9 games, the same way I did Oklahoma's schedule, if I did the same thing for Clemson and you really like add in context and think about what all these teams are, I don't see a world where Clemson gets it done. So when you think about Clemson, you talk about first game Georgia, and that's your game that could break the team.
Pissed off Georgia. A pissed off Georgia.
A pissed off Georgia, right?
From not being able to three-peat and missing the playoff. Like
now, Sean, who's the second game on that schedule? App State. The Legend Killers.
Yeah.
That's them. But who do they have after App State? I'm sure they get a break. No, NC State. The same NC State team that beat you last year.
1 and 2? You saying 1 and 2?
Watched it. Hold on. Then they get Stanford. Stanford's coming to them. Should be a fair enough, easy enough game. Good. Now they're finally getting the rest. You know, the ACC is soft. They get the easy part at Florida State the next week.
Yeah.
And then that's when they actually hit the easy part of their schedule, because then you get to go to Wake Forest, that sleepy little town in Winston-Salem. And then you get Virginia coming to you. And then you got Louisville. I am telling you. Oh, but wait, there's more. Because you say, well, Tyler Shuck ain't much. And Tyler Shuck is always hurt. He always hurt. So we'll be all right there. We'll be all right to beat Louisville. And you know what? You're right. And thank God you don't have no more hard games in really tough environment. Enter Sandman is waiting on you on the night game on the 9th of November.
I think Virginia Tech has the better quarterback in that game, personally.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Let me tell you something. If you watch the stat sheets alone, you would think that Kyron Jones can't chuck it. If you actually watch the games, they were so reliant on the deep ball for whatever reason. It was a very archaic style of like, hey, we're going all or nothing every time we pass the ball instead of getting them into things that get them in a rhythm, get them rolling, get them smooth, get them, all right, we'll throw out a couple things to make you feel good. So honestly and truly, I look at this season for Clemson and I say, this could be the one where the boosters finally go to Dabo and say, damn it, if you don't use that portal, I know some. We will send you back to Alabama so quick. And by send you back to Bama, you're not going to take over for DeBoer at Bama. You're not going because to tell them boys we don't do no NIL, we taking away the Hellcats and SRT, brother. They're gonna whoop you till you see in Christ. You said the team name made in Jesus Christ's name, image, and likeness. Listen, those players gonna be passing around a collection plate for you to put money in. Okay, so Dabo has a lot to prove, especially with the flat out refusal to use the portal, and I don't think he can prove it. I think this is again that Georgia game. I think breaks him. I think that's the game where we're gonna look back and say Clemson was never the same after that.
Whew. I can't wait, dude. Because I think he's a good person.
Yeah.
Right? But I don't respect the fact that he did all the whining about what was wrong.
Yep.
And when it was time to be part of the sit down and fix it, he ran.
No.
Dude, I don't like those type of people that all they do is whine. And when it's time to figure it out, they're nowhere to be found. I don't want to hear that. That's the moment I lost respect for him. That's the moment I lost. I'm like, yeah, okay. You don't run a clean program. You run a program that can be about as clean as one can be.
Listen, when that man said, when the players start getting paid, I'll go do something else. Brother, what? You're a 10 millionaire off of those young men's back. Get paid, brother. Get paid. Do your thing, man. Get your education. Because I guarantee you, if they start telling you, hey, Dabo, we're going to pay you in college credits, now you're mad.
So you
talking about I got to go to
so you saying you don't think Deshaun got any benefits?
Oh, listen. We don't even want to talk about all the benefits Deshaun got because half of them might land.
You don't think T. Higgins got benefits?
Oh, come on now. Listen, Sean. You don't
think Christian Wilkins got benefits?
You know like I know. Okay. All I'll say is this. I ain't never seen a star player over there drive a beat up car. I ain't never seen nobody whipping around. And I was back when I played.
Nobody was rolling around in Toyotas and Hondas.
You hear me? Not a single Hyundai in sight.
SUVs, huh? 24s.
Trackhawk season. They hawk it down. They hawk it down out there. So, maybe all of them are from well-to-do families, including the quarterback whose mom had to build houses for Habitat for Humanity until they finally said, you built enough, we'll give you one. I don't know. Maybe they're all from well-to-do backgrounds. Who knows?
Yeah, that's clean. That's real clean.
Clean as a whistle.
So just to give you all the rundown of the power rankings, did you give your other team? I want to set you up for Clemson. I guess you.
Oh, Clemson was going to be my third team. So
okay.
we on the same page.
I knew it. I'm your point guard. PG, I'm your point guard, baby.
Hey, come on now.
Man, just fill the lane. Just run the ball. Go and fill the lane for me. That's all I need you to do.
You know what I'm gonna do with it. You set me up. You know what I'm gonna do. Again, I genuinely. A lot of people say I'm crazy for saying this, but again, I think that Clemson is at a point in their program a lot like where Florida State was when they played Bama. Your coach is already somewhat embattled, despite winning national championships, despite having all the accolades, all of the things. You're not heading in the right direction as a program because Florida State was already slightly on the downward tilt before they played Bama. And then next thing you know, Florida State was never the same again and had to go through the Taggart era. I don't know what Clemson's Taggart era will look like, but I am concerned that it's coming up in the next couple of years because, again, Dabo don't want to change, and the fans, like you said earlier, they spoil. They spoil. You done spoiled them. You know, you can't start taking your lady out on the Magnificent Mile and saying, get what you want, here's my card. And then when you in year 5 say, baby, we got to go to the Piggly Wiggly, okay? We got to get your outfit from Walmart and Target now. I don't know what you doing.
Max and Marshall, baby.
We going to Saks first. What is that? It's my cousin Saks. He's the first man to boost this stuff out of stores. Now we got to get our stuff out of there. You just got to rip the tag off. You got the magnet. You got the magnet at the crib. We just got to rip that little tag off, baby. Clemson has shown us that, again, they won at the highest level. The fans got used to them winning at the highest level. Dabo refuses to adapt to keep them at that highest level because, again, you don't think that Clemson could have used Cam Ward this year? You don't think Clemson could have used Grayson McCall or one of those guys that can get it done in the quarterback room? You don't think they're going to use them? But instead, well, if we had worse players, we'd recruit over them. You didn't recruit over Cade Klubnik, my brother in Christ. What do you mean if you had worse players you recruit? You have the worst players already playing quarterback for you, you know, but I digress.
Yeah. So, top 10, once again, ESPN Power Rankings, Georgia at 1, Ohio State 2, Oregon 3, Texas 4, Alabama 5, Notre Dame 6, Ole Miss 7, Penn State. I thought about Ole Miss for a second. I really did. Penn State at 8, Michigan at 9, and number 10, the Florida State Seminoles. My last question, that top 4, KG. I mean, look, the top 4 is pretty formidable. Talking about Georgia, Ohio State, the Oregon Ducks, and the Texas Longhorns. Would you flip any of those teams? And out of those 4, how many of those teams are great teams, in your opinion? Out of those 4, how many of those teams are great teams?
You hit me with the tough ones, and I'm going to tell you this. Ohio State, I am very interested in because the quarterback play is always the question there. They're always going to have a slew of first-round receivers coming out of there. That team is so good, Jamison Williams could not play there and ended up being a top 15 pick.
Yes.
Like, that team is always going to be freaky offensively. The question is, what does the defense look like? And they're returning a lot of guys. They're returning a lot of guys that played some quality snaps last year. And let's not play like the addition of Downs at safety wasn't one of the biggest in the portal all year long. People are banking on Will Howard being Superman. I think that's a bad bet. With that being said, he doesn't need to be. Judkins and Henderson will carry you home. Be good enough. Be good enough, be on time and on target. And honestly, people going to hate me for this. The best landing spot for Grayson McCall would have been Ohio State. Because Ohio State would not, they need exactly what he is. On time, on target, get it to the playmakers, be a point guard. We don't need you to be the superstar that's going to throw it 50 yards and all. Be on time, be on target, get it to the playmakers, let them cook. That's all you got to do. And with that in mind, Will Howard, he's shown a propensity to burp the baby a little bit. He's shown a propensity to hold that thing a little bit. So I think while Ohio State is very good, they're very good broaching up against greatness, I wouldn't put them there. Oregon is fast. The track school got them some guys that can absolutely fly all over the field. My only question for them, are they physical enough? I know that Lanning has done a lot to make them more physical. I know that it started back with Cristobal, with him saying, we're going to build a physical running team. That is the reason that I do give them great. I do think they belong right where they are. And I'm telling you, those guys, the speed that they have, with the physicality that they have. Now, the only question I have for them, are you Big 12 physical or are you Big 10 physical? How physical are you? I know that they beat Ohio State on the road without Kayvon Thibodeau 2 years ago. I know they did that. But how physical are you? What are you prepared to do week after week? Iowa may seem terrible, which offensively they are, but that defense, they're going to third. They gonna thud you. They gonna thump on you. You gonna walk away from that game saying, "I need some ice packs." Well, ooh, I'm gonna put a little hair on my chest there. So I would give Oregon greatness, but again, the only question for them: Are y'all real? How physical are you? Georgia, you got to find the weakness. Okay, other than what them boys do when they get behind the SRT, they have no weaknesses. That's just the honest to God.
And that's scary, right? That's scary.
That's just the honest to God truth. You look around
to get the young defensive line and linebackers, they're not young anymore.
Man, let me tell you something. Last year, the people were singing Keith Sweat, "You may be young, but you're ready." This year, they said, "Wait a minute, y'all left us out over one game. Over one game, y'all left us." This is a leave no doubt year. This is a leave no doubt year for Georgia, and I'm worried. I'm worried because when Georgia says they leave in no doubt, every other team should be looking and doubting. Every other team should be saying, "Hey, listen, Bulldogs, y'all good people. We Christians. We pray a lot. We in the Bible Belt. Let's keep it respectful. Let's keep it civil because them boys are coming for blood. Them dogs are gonna hunt." And that team. I'd be shocked. I mean this very genuinely. I'd be shocked with them losing any more than one game. I think that their schedule is extremely tough. So I think that they slip up once, maybe. But even with that, I would not be surprised if they ran the table because Carson Beck is probably the best quarterback that they've had there since Matt Stafford. They've got a hellified offensive line with depth behind them. I struggle. I struggle to find an area where they're going to be a little rough. So Georgia, definitely greatness. And to round off the top four, I'm going to tell you this. Texas is a team that I look at and I say, hey, Sark has done a fantastic job of recruiting. My only question for them, you're going into a very physical conference that loves to run the ball, and you lost two massive
dudes. Yes.
I think they're another team. They're on that line. They're teetering up against that line. So let's see what happens there. They're teetering up against it, but I wouldn't be shocked if we find out they're not great. I wouldn't be shocked to find out they are. But I think the top four, I think they're rated appropriately.
I think Georgia's great. Oregon, I have to wait and see.
Yeah.
I just have to wait and see because I think defensively, Oregon is going to be really good. I think they're going to fare well in the Big Ten defensively. Unfortunately, I don't know if Gabriel can be as efficient as Bo Nix. He definitely doesn't have the legs that Bo Nix had last year to make plays and extend plays.
No.
So the offense and how that offense is it as explosive and efficient without him? Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Last but not least, we get out of here. Impact freshmen. I think there are a lot of impact freshmen. Let's start with the ACC. Who in the ACC as a true freshman do you think people are going to have to be on notice? Because this individual or these individuals are really going to shine this year for their respective teams.
I mean, honestly and truly, when we talk about freshmen, are we talking about true freshmen only, or are we adding in?
No, we can go true or red shirted.
Okay, well, if we talk about red,
generous tonight.
If we talk about red shirt as well, and we being generous, I'm going to give a shout out to my man Noah Rogers, who was an Ohio State guy. He left from Roseville, North Carolina, which is literally a suburb of Raleigh that touches Raleigh. He left from Roseville, North Carolina, to go all the way up to Ohio State. And Quinn Ewers said the same thing as he did. I didn't know it was so cold up there. Why do you all keep going from the deep south to Ohio thinking, y'all don't understand the geographic?
Columbus has become in all seriousness, the development around the Columbus area, it is really a nice place to show off. It really is. It's almost one of the only Big Ten cities that has a big town feel. It doesn't feel like a college town.
No, I agree.
It doesn't feel like a college town.
Let me tell you something, though. Let me tell you something. Noah Rogers is one guy, and I'm going to stick with the ACC, and that Elijah Lofton is a guy that my co-host of Locked On ACC, Alex Dono, talks about Elijah Lofton a lot. Apparently, and this is how good Elijah Lofton is, because I see people talking about Brock Bowers in the chat. Elijah Lofton was apparently so good, he was their best running back through camp, through spring ball, because Damian Martinez was not there yet. He was their best running back through spring ball. Fletcher was hurt, and Martinez wasn't there yet. He was their best back as a tight end, true freshman tight end. I got to get my Brian Windhorst back. What's going on there? Why? How good is a tight end to be your best running back as a true freshman? I think he's going to be a guy that's wildly impactful, especially with Cam Ward, who likes to take deep shots, and a tight end that can stretch the field like him, and who can do as many things as he can with the ball in his hands off that crystal ball. Oh, we're going to lull you to sleep with that power. We're going to lull you to sleep with the stretch. Oh, look at that. Just a little backside ball. Oh, look, we gave the ball a little often. Let's see how good of a time y'all have trying to tackle him in the flat with a safety. That boy going to be an accountant in a few months, and y'all trying to tackle Elijah Lofton with him? Good luck. I think he's going to be a special guy this year for the Miami Hurricanes.
I'm going to go with two wide receivers that I can't wait to watch this year. Jeremiah Smith for the Buckeyes and Ryan Williams down in Tuscaloosa. I watched Ryan Williams in high school go up against two top 5 defensive backs and ate them alive on national TV. Ladies and gentlemen, if Jalen Milroe can find his accuracy this season, Ryan Williams is going to eat. He's going to eat in the SEC. And Jeremiah Smith is just if you thought, dude, this kid is massive as a freshman, dude. If you thought Marvin Harrison was a big dude, go check out his clips from spring camp and fall camp. This kid is just Megatron, and you too small, just defensive backs. It's something to behold. It really is. So I'm looking forward to watching both of those guys in the SEC. I'm going to take it a step further, bro. I'm going to go down to Miami, and I think they're youngsters from Chicago. Justin Scott and Marquise Lightfoot, U.S. Army All-Americans, both went to the University of Miami. I know my boy Roosevelt. He's a huge supporter of Lucky Lefty, and he's a huge Miami Hurricane fan. I know he's loving hearing this, but I'm going to be watching both of those kids. I think they're going to have he's going to be like a Kenneth Grant.
We don't mention 3 Hurricanes on here now. See, this is why they get all them preseason national champions.
Preseason hype, and then they get all flat. Absolutely, we're setting them up. We're setting them up. We're doing what we're supposed to do. Hype them up, and then I'm still waiting for Mario Cristobal to get over 500 as a head coach. I'm just
listen, player. If he just knew how to take a knee, he'd already be there. He'd already be right there. He'd already be there. He lost not 1 but 2 games by refusing to take a knee. Mario, what? My brother in Christ, what's going on? Talk to me, baby. Because you can't. He said, I got married one time and I ain't never getting on the knee again. That's the last time. Yeah. That's the last. Why ain't kneeling for nothing to nobody?
I'm sure a lot of people were saying like DJ Lagaway down in Florida, might be someone to watch. I think Nico Iamaleava is going to definitely be someone to watch at Tennessee.
Yeah.
I
just don't think they had to help around Lagway. I think Lagway is in one of the worst positions possible because you're expected to be the savior of a sinking ship. Like he's going to be the guy that's like trying to mop the Titanic as it goes down to stop too much inertia behind that sinking ship. And DJ may show that he's special at points, but objectively speaking, brother, you better get ready to learn new offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Get ready.
Yeah. Man, great show. Thanks for tapping in. You guys were fantastic tonight, as always. YouTube, Lucky Lefty Podcast. Subscribe, share, hit the thumbs up. Make sure you leave your comments, questions. We respond to all. Patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network. Apple Podcast, Spotify, audio edibles each and every day, CFB Nation. And then just tap in with us. X, Instagram, Lucky Lefty Pod. We appreciate you guys so much. I appreciate my brother in Christ, my brother in CFB, and my brother for life. TGIF_Ken. Ken Gibbs, Locked On ACC, Locked On Wolfpack, Locked On College Football Live. Right here with us each and every Wednesday. Lucky Lefty crossover with Three's Company. So for my guy KG, Sean Davis, we'll hit you guys on the X page tomorrow and let you know the schedule, because Malik did say he want to hop on and talk to you about some things. And then don't forget, I think it's next Friday, the players only the players only preview show. The players only preview show hosted by MALIK, ZAIRE with former Notre Dame players. The only preview and postseason show that are player only, former Notre Dame players right here. Lucky Lefty Network. Nobody else can give it to you like we do, because we spin it different. That's next Friday. For KG, SD2 Mics, we'll see you guys next Wednesday for a little bit more Lucky Lefty and Three's Company right here on Lucky Lefty Network. Continue to make sure you spin it different.